Hey there, YouTubers, Pythonistas. It's Wednesday, August 21st, 2019, and so far I've output a blog post based on Facebook discussions currently in process regarding Martin Heidegger and especially his later writings from the 50s on technology, concerning technology, and how to bridge Heidegger to Bucky if we want to. And I go through my chronology and kind of do my usual graph database kind of thing, like what connects to what, who's read what. Like, I haven't read a lot of Heidegger, nor have I listened to a lot of Wagner, so it makes sense for me to not stride on stage and like give the Heidegger lecture or something. So I'm doing some homework though. I've got my YouTube. Didn't used to have the YouTube, right? Like, you want to audit a lecture on Heidegger, you might have to drive across town and get the professor's permission to sit in, and my goodness. So let's go to Codesters now. If you're really curious to learn a lot about this math that's going on, where we're raising e to a complex exponent, i.e., we're raising it e to something times something. And the first something is 1j, and that's how in Python we say complex number. Now, a place I would point you to as a next link would be what's called rosettacode.org, and Euler's identity in that context is implemented kind of as proof, but always, usually, not always, but usually with errors, right? They call it dust because they're using floating point. Python does this too, and there's a limit in precision and so on with these numbers. That's why we say they're not real numbers, really. Or some people call them real numbers, but they're actually floating point numbers as implemented. And you could say that's just a different set of numbers. It has a lot of holes in it. There are a lot of numbers we cannot represent in floating point. It's a finite set, right? So let's distinguish floating point from real numbers. What I'm doing here is scrolling through um, a bunch of languages all tackling the same challenge, because that's how this website is organized. Show us Euler's formula. Now, Wikipedia throws some doubts on, let's see, where is Wikipedia? There's a lot of cool languages here, by the way, so check it out. J is one that I've studied quite a bit. I'm a big fan of J. Going back to Wikipedia, somewhere here. Is that the top one? Let's see, where are we? So there's lots to talk about with Euler's formula. We don't need to look at Wikipedia. You can look at Wikipedia if you want to. Let's go back through this color coding. Remember, we can name them, we can code them. I've been emphasizing naming them, actually. Developing a vocabulary around color, that's not a bad idea, to say words like orchid, plum, thistle, amethyst. I thought I tried amethyst, and I thought that didn't work. So let's use that as a test. I thought that didn't work. This may be a good way to crash Codesters. Let's take it and add it to my list of possible background colors. So what we're doing in this slightly enhanced version of the same code we looked at last time is we define, and this is cool about something we can do in Codesters. This is not something that is trivial to implement in out-of-the-box regular old Python. There is the async.io module, and you can create asynchronous loops, kind of like threading, but asynchronous. This might actually be thought of in terms of threading, but what we're doing with this interval program is, regardless of what else is happening, every 2 seconds we want to fire interval. So Python has to be able to switch back and forth somehow, and often that takes a lot of extra code. But Codesters lets us just throw it in there as part of the script and just say, hey, every 2 seconds I want to do this thing called interval. And you can change the name. You could call it something like change background color, like change underline BG. It's a function name that you're giving. And there better be a function higher up, somewhere already defined, that it can point to. Let's prove that. Let's take this definition and put it underneath and see if that really does cause a problem. Maybe that doesn't matter. Let's see if it matters. It certainly matters that I define this interval program before I get into my major loop that draws the spiral, because once we're in that, we're stuck in that. We're just going to go around in that. We will check every two seconds if we've already told it to do that, which I am telling it to do, but not if we wait and tell it to do that later. It's like it'll do everything it needs to do regarding the circle and then figure out that every 2 seconds you would like it to do something. That's what happens if you put this at the end. So, okay, see, there's a problem. It popped up with, can't do that, don't know what you're talking about, what's this change BG thing? So we say, okay, sorry, I meant to tell you before I asked you to do it. I can't tell you to do something if you don't know what it is. Okay, so, but it doesn't actually run. The reason I was curious if this would be a problem is we're not actually running this at this point. We're going to wait till the program is 2 seconds into it, and then this will fire. And it will fire and say, quick, do this. So when I run this, you'll see what that means. Every 2 seconds, it's just going to keep drawing that spiral, but every 2 seconds, it's going to randomly choose from one of these background colors, and it may crash if amethyst proves to be a bogus color, which I thought it was, but I might have just typed it wrong last time. The thing is, we're picking at random, so we're not guaranteed to ever get amethyst, right? I think we will. Has anything gone by that I would say was the amethyst color? We certainly haven't had a crash yet. Oh, look. Amethyst is not a valid HTML color name. You can find the colors here. So it doesn't like amethyst. That was my theory. I think I'd encountered that before. And the question is this a place where I want to get my color names therefore? I kind of think maybe the problem is my resource here, HTML color codes, talks about amethyst, but is that really my best place to look? So let's go back to Codesters and see where it wants to take us when it says find a list of colors here, and we end up in Wikipedia, and it's actually a different color list slightly. So if I go down, say, to the purples, which is where I was having my trouble with amethyst, you'll see that purple is not there. Or I'm sorry, the purples are there, but what was the one we were having trouble with? Amethyst, you can see, is not here. They're actually not in alphabetical order, so I had to take a second to confirm that. But if I take like dark magenta instead and paste that in the code, then we should have no trouble. In other words, that should work all the way through. What's fun about this, I'll just end with this last demo, is that even after the turtle has completed doing the spiral, or we could call it a tractor, whatever type of sprite you want to think of that as. You could think of this as the drone view looking down on something, like a tractor doing a spiral somehow. It's kind of a crop circle-y kind of thing. So far no crashes, right? Because so far dark magenta, I don't know if we've seen it. But what's cool is, that looks like it. What's cool is even after the turtle's done drawing this crop circle, we're going to keep getting the interval flashes because the interval program hasn't been told to stop at any point. So just because the turtle's done with its business doesn't keep. Now it looked like that lasted longer because sometimes it picks the same color more than once in a row, right? It's allowed to do that. Random means random. Of course, these are generated pseudo-random. Nevertheless, to us, they come across as unpredictable, can't memorize them, could play cards like this and still lose. All right, talk to you soon.